Hey folks, it's Nate, and it's time I got back to the drawing board, and today I wanted to take another look at 499 because I feel like I was not entirely fair to Narwhal when I was talking about this book. This is a collaboration between Narwhal and Zach, which I think everybody who's familiar with my first review of the product knows. It's pretty clearly indicated by this little marker on the back. They discuss it at some length in their project description, and in several of his videos discussing the project, Zach made that clear as well. However, I was not quite clear how this collaboration worked in my review, which is why I wanted to go back and talk about this again. See, the story concept for 499 and for payable on delivery is from Zach, and he offered a pretty detailed, based on what you see in the back here, he offered a pretty detailed set of notes and summaries and things like that, concepts, but he did not write it. Narwhal wrote it as well as illustrating it. However, Zach seems to have had a very heavy editorial hand in it. These notes, not all of them look like they came from the initial writing phase. Some of them seem to have come after the pictures came in. And I think that's something that's fair to note because Narwhal did a lot of the work on this book. This was more of a side project for Zach as compared to some of his bigger things like Jawbreakers. And I'm not saying that to belittle this project or diminish the work that went into it. I'm just saying it because I think as I was talking about this book last time, I did not make it clear that I spoke of Zach as if he was the sole writer and as if Narwhal had no creative input on the story as a whole, which is not at all true. I've collaborated with Narwhal on a couple of projects, and he has a very strong writer's voice, which I see pretty clearly in this book. Now, I've read about as much of Zach's stuff as I have of Narwhal's stuff, and I see a pretty good amount of Zach in here as well. So I assume there was at least a dialogue pass where Zach proposed some dialogue that he wanted over others. And specifically, I think as regards to a lot of the military aspects of it, obviously Zach is the authority there. He's actually been in the Army and in the Marines and seen active combat and all those other things. So he will understand the psychology and whatnot a lot. But there is a lot of Narwhal in the writing too, in the way some of the dialogue flows, some of the quips. There's a couple of made-up words in here that sound like things that Narwhal would write, and I didn't say anything at all about what I thought of Narwhal's contributions to the story. As I see them, I spoke of it as if Zach did all of the writing, which was unfair and uncharitable of me, because Narwhal does deserve some props for the way this is written. It has, again, snappy dialogue. It has really Narwhal. I don't know if this is a compliment or not, but he does a really good job writing teenagers. As someone who has worked with them quite a bit, both as a kind of mentor, big brother kind of figure, and also teaching Sunday school and working with younger kids as kind of a camp counselor kind of a thing. There is a lot of authenticity in this kind of dialogue, and with no offense to Richard, just based on what I've seen of his YouTube videos and the way he sometimes seems to come at internet lingo sideways, I don't think that kind of dialogue work is really authentically the kind of thing he could do. I think a lot of that comes from Narwhal, and I didn't talk about it at all as we were looking at 499 last time because I was caught up in the bigger ideas of it, which shows that those are strong ideas and they have decent execution to the point where I was really thinking about them and the execution and all these other matters. And I forgot to give props to Narwhal's contributions to the story, which are very important. That kind of verisimilitude, that kind of fast-moving dialogue definitely helps keep the story moving forward. It keeps the audience engaged. It's not. Most people think of story as message and characters, and that's very important. But as a writer, equally important to me is technique in dialogue, technique in prose, technique in um, how you structure a scene and how the beats play out and how these things keep the reader or the audience engaged. And there's all of that is in 499 and is well executed. And knowing that Narwhal did most of the scripting here, I believe that the first credit for that actually belongs to him and less so to Richard. I know Richard did a lot of editing on this. That comes through very clearly. But I did not say that in my initial review, and I think it deserves to be said. Not just because I've worked with Narwhal, although partly I do want Narwhal's talents acknowledged because they're considerable. But not just because of that, but because I think it gives the best picture of what 499 is, what its strengths are, and how they really make the story work. Even though it is not a perfect story, and it is a story that has what I consider to be some pretty sizable flaws to it. Still really good, and Narwhal's talents were definitely a part of that story working, not just visually, but in the writing. So I wanted to point that out and get it said just for the sake of completeness. So those are my additional thoughts on 499. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below, especially if you think that you think that the breakdown in there was different. If you can point me to a source for that, I would appreciate it. And also let me know what you think of the dialogue and the pacing in 499, because that is something, again, it's something a lot of people don't think about, but I think as a writer, it's really important to study and analyze that beyond just the plot beats. I mean, obviously you have to have solid beats first, but once you have solid beats, you also need to really work on that pacing and see how it plays. And 499 has that, and I appreciate that. There is something I wanted to address. There was a comment in the comments on my previous 499 video asking if there is still an opportunity to buy this. That is something I asked Narwhal about, and he is still doing fulfillment. So he doesn't know how much extra product there's going to be, and also it's not just his book, so it would be something we would have to discuss with Zach. So there is no solid plans for later opportunities to pick up 499. However, both Narwhal and Zach have offered leftover stock on other campaigns, and I have a feeling that will happen again at some point in the future. Since I have worked with Narwhal on some stuff, maybe that will come up in a later campaign. I will keep you appraised. So if you are interested in a copy of 499, especially a first printing copy, of which there will only be a few left after this, watch this channel, and I will definitely let you know if that's going to be a perk on a future campaign. Anyways, let me know what you think down in the comments below. There's a like button and a subscribe button you can use as you see fit, and I will talk to you later.